Coming up on All About Android is me, Jason Howell, joined by Ron Richards and Wintwit Dow. We've got updates on security vulnerabilities involving Pixel Markup and Exynos. Pretty serious stuff that you want to hear about there. More Pixel 8 renders. We got Google Glass Enterprise Edition going away for good. Also, Project Jacquard might be going away. PocketCasts finally coming to Wear OS. And the AI era of Google Workspace. Plus, your feedback coming up next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is All About Android, episode 622, recorded Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. Midrange Musketeers. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by ACI Learning. If you love IT Pro, you'll love ACI Learning. ACI Learning offers fully customizable training for your team in formats for all types of learners across audit, cybersecurity, and IT. From entry-level training to putting people on the moon, ACI Learning has got you covered. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit to learn more. And by HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW, who can help you consolidate and manage all your data in one flexible edge-to-cloud platform to scale and innovate. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. Hello and welcome to All About Android, your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Wintwit Dow.
And we are reunited, and it feels so good. Oh, yeah.
So sorry I missed last week. I hate to miss a show, but
it's all good.
But yeah, family was calling. So
yeah,
I think for both of us, right, Win? Right,
both of us.
Yeah.
Family stuff.
You know, sometimes life happens, and it's all good. That's why there are, not just the three of us, but we've got Flo, we've got Michelle. Adam Dow dropped in last week.
Oh, I'm so mad I missed Adam. I love Adam.
Yeah.
So it was very funny because while you were doing the show, I was with my father, and I had mentioned, I was like, I had to skip doing the podcast, and he's like, you've been doing that for a while now, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how long's that been going for? And I was like, 11 years.
And he's like, not as long as your other podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was kind of funny. So,
yeah.
It's a great dad thing to say.
Good time.
Yeah, right. My parents they've been over the years equally as clueless as far as what I do, Like someone asked me what you do, and I just have a really hard time answering that question. Like, it's not that difficult to understand. It's like radio, but on the internet. That's about all it is. So,
it's like radio, but on the internet. What year is it? It's 2005.
I mean, I'm trying to put it in terms that, like, they'll be like, oh, okay, now I know how to explain it next time my friend says, what does your son do for a living? Right. Just say it's like talk radio, but on the internet. That's all you need to say.
And with video.
If people by now don't understand what podcasting is, I think a lot more people know, but anyways, apparently not. We've got a lot of stories this week. This doc filled up quite nicely. So, why don't we get right to it, Burke? I know that you didn't have your ghostwriter working for you behind the scenes, so I'm really curious to hear what you come up with when I say it's time for the news.
Well, unlike ChatGPT and pre-show, I'm not going to fluff the news. We're just going to get right to the Android news.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess if you were here for pre-show, you know what he's talking about. Also, if you're a Club Twit member, you probably get it in your Twit Plus podcast feed.
A lot of fun ChatGPT talk in the pre-show. And Bard, Google's Bard, what is it? Who knows? We'll find out. I'm on the wait list. We'll see what it is.
I think we're all on the wait list.
But we have some interesting stuff about Android 13 QPR2 March security update here. There's a lot of security updates packed inside there, everybody. A lot of them. I'm going to do my best Michelle impression here. But so the first security update in there is called, quote unquote, Acropolis. I can't even say it.
Acropolis. Yeah, I think you said
Acropolis.
it correctly.
Yeah, Acropolis. So screenshots cropped using the built-in Markup app on Google Pixel devices may be retroactively uncropped and unredacted under many circumstances.
Oh. That's
So you
not good.
That's not good. You crop something out of a
Nah.
screenshot using the pixel markup utility, and then you share that image. Someone on the other end can partially recover the cropped area. The top 20% of the image is corrupted, but the remainder of the image, including a photo of the credit card with its number visible, is fully recovered in the example, which is, this reminds me of, do you remember the old Photoshop?
Yes.
Save the preview. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Jason?
because there would always be like an embedded thumbnail preview or something like that. And if you knew that, you could open it up and view that embedded image
And I believe a certain former personality on Tech TV got kind of revealed in a way that they didn't want to be. I'll let you Google it and look for that. But I'm sure Leo remembers this. This is talking about doing the show for a long time. This is like back in like 04, 05.
Yeah, a long time
so.
ago.
Yeah,
Right.
Long time ago. Yeah. But this, it reminds me very much of that. Is that so like it's when you crop the image, it's making the crop, but it's saving the original data, which is crazy.
I mean, I'm no image expert. I don't know if any of us are, but I just don't understand. Like, why is that even possible? Like, if you're cropping an image, aren't you getting rid of the data? Like, how is it still there but hiding?
Well, usually with
understand.
with image files, a lot of times there's like certain like bits, like bytes, like at the start of a file that kind of tell you what kind of file it is, and often. And I presume at the end of the file is other information that lets you know here's the end of the image.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't
Like a
mean
marker,
that after,
like a marker,
like a marker,
like a
exactly.
marker,
Yeah.
right,
So there's a file header that tells like often, oh, this is a bitmap. Oh, this is a PNG. This is the kind of encoding, yada yada. And I think it's been a while. I used to actually do a bit of like image file format creeping, like poking around, and presumably there is either the metadata that's in the file lets a file reader know, hey, there's like X number of bits and it's like this large, right? So it knows, like a regular image reader might know, hey, I need to read in just X number of bytes, right? And then here's your image. But it either, and I'm not sure, this is just the gap in my knowledge of, and here's a really great image of it from the article. Either at the end of the file, either there's an end of file marker, or it's literally just that the header is telling a regular image reader just read so many bytes, and the reader knows not to go past, X number of bytes. I'm not sure which it is. My bad. Someone's probably going to like write us an email telling us exactly what it is, or I can probably look it up later.
That's okay. It's an opportunity for email of the week.
Yeah, for email of the week. But yeah, so basically, if you know that there's some original data there, you could certainly take this file and, just straight up read the bytes and then use, some kind of magic to recreate the original part of the image. Because all it is just instructions, just like anything else with programming. So if you are given a recipe and someone gives you 12 eggs and the recipe just says to use 6 eggs, there's still 12 eggs there. So if you're like, a nefarious cook or something, you could just use up all the eggs. 3. Exactly. Yeah. My metaphor broke down, but it's basically just that, it's because you give the reader instructions, and sometimes if you're nefarious, you could go off book and read more than you're supposed to.
Yeah. I can understand why this may have been possible. I don't understand why it's still possible. You know what I mean? Like if the information's still there and all that's happening is, hey, don't read before this point. Trust me. Trust me, the app, to not read before this point. I mean, obviously that doesn't work because it can be recovered. Like if I, as a user, crop out data, make that stuff that I cropped out not be there anymore.
It's
period.
like a non-destructive edit
why
is what it is. It's it's a layer of data there that, instead of giving you the screenshot of an actual changed image, it's like Markup's like, oh, but the image zoomed in with like whatever squiggle marks I put over it, but not flattened into an actual image type of thing.
Yeah,
right.
It could be like a memory saving optimization, because often when you're working with images, it costs a lot of RAM. And depending on the device you're on, you might have like special, memory saving techniques like reusing memory. That does happen. And that could even happen like on a file system. So it might be that. I think in the article, it stated that if you certain things, like I think this happened on Discord. This happened on Discord, but not on Twitch, not on Twitter. And that might be because the way that Twitter is handling the images, they do some optimization, because maybe they actually do. They strip it out because because they're processing it, because they're uploading it to their server, and they want to save space. So they probably might do like some optimization on upload, whereas I don't know, maybe Discord's just more like has a different algorithm for, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But yeah, it's interesting.
You know what it also reminds me of is I've always had, not always, but for many, many years had location data turned off in my camera app because inevitably I'm going to share an image somewhere out there and I'm going to forget to strip the location data, and then that's going to reveal some information that I don't want to be out there. Like, I don't trust the system to do this. And it's kind of similar to this, right? Like, but I didn't realize, like, I've used Markup a lot and I have cropped things and then shared them out. I'd be curious to, pull that down and see like what the heck is out there, I
mean, the thing is like I do use it literally all the time, because I crop out, like I take screenshots and crop out the other crap or things like that. But like, I'm not doing this for credit cards. Right, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like I'm not. I'm using it like for jokes to send to my friends.
Or like here's the part of the web page, or here's an image. Yeah, and it's just easier for me to screenshot it and crop out instead of download the image to my folder and whatever.
So once again, this is like it's a scary thing to think about. When I think about how I'm actually using the tool, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Right? But yeah, totally. Me too. Yeah, I'm definitely not using it for credit cards or anything sensitive.
Everybody's mileage may vary. So
totally.
But so that it doesn't stop there, though. It doesn't stop there.
Oh, joy.
There's a severe series of Exynos modem vulnerabilities. In fact, they're so severe that Google recommends disabling voice VoLTE, voice over LTE, and Wi-Fi calling until it's fully patched. I guess so many Google news alerts saying Google tells you to turn off Wi-Fi calling. There are 18.
Yeah, I just got a message from Mint Mobile, actually, both text message, and then I also got an email.
Yeah. 18 zero-day vulnerabilities in Samsung's Exynos chips. Most allow for remote code execution. And what happens is the intruder can remotely compromise the device underneath the OS at the baseband level with no user interaction. All that's needed is the victim's phone number. So Google made an exception to its standard disclosure policy by continuing to hold back details because two exploits are so bad that releasing the info would make it even worse. So in the meantime, if you have a phone with a Samsung Exynos chipset, disable Wi-Fi calling and disable VoLTE. Seriously. And basically that affects these phones, mobile devices from Samsung, including those in the S22, M33, M13, M12, A71, A53, A33, A21s, A13, A12, and A04 series. Also, mobile devices from Vivo, including those in the S16, S15, S6, X70, X60, and X30 series, and the Pixel 6 and Pixel 7 series of devices from Google, and any devices that use the Exynos Auto T5123 chipset. So here I am on my Pixel 7. I'm just going to go disable Wi-Fi calling right now.
Oh, yeah, disable Wi-Fi calling, for sure. For sure.
Crazy.
And, they're working on an update. You'll get that eventually. But in the meantime, disable Wi-Fi calling for starters. And then, Burke, before the show, you pointed out there's a link on this 9 to 5 Google page that takes you to the Sprint kind of site about voice over LTE.
T-Mobile.
And he found in kind of the FAQ this little section that talks about voice over LTE. And there's a part there where it says, for devices supporting 5G, voice over LTE is automatically enabled as it is required for 5G. And there's no real way to turn it off outside of telling your phone with the setting, it's by default it connects to 5G. Set that to by default it connects to LTE 4G. So, I mean, I haven't seen any publications writing about this, so that was a really interesting thing that you spotted on that site, Burke. But I guess that leads to the thought that, disable Wi-Fi calling and then I guess set your default to 4G LTE until this update is rolled out. I mean, if this is, if this says it's automatically enabled because it's required for 5G, that leads to the assumption that you need to disable 5G then, right?
And they took out the toggle on off in an update.
Right. You can't easily just toggle it off. You have to go in there and say, my SIM, default is 4G or 5G. It's set to 5G, but I will change it to 4G because I don't want anything to do with this. Sounds bad, really bad. So,
Yeah. So it's wacky. It's crazy. So I mean, good for them. I mean, now that we know about it, we're catching it, and it's fixed by the March update and all this. But like, these are, whew.
Well, yeah. So, that's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because I don't know that this is fixed by the March update. I think they're saying a future update will fix this. For now,
it's fixed on some phones. It's not fixed on others.
Okay. All right.
I think it was like the Pixels.
So there's more to become. So it's like, these security updates are in the Android 13 QPR2 March update,
yeah,
right?
No, you were right, Ron. You were right. Pixel 6 and 7 families are protected against all 4 of these vulnerabilities as of Google's March 2023 update. So it's some of the other phones, the Samsungs, the Vivos, that you're probably going to need to wait until they, send out their update. But it looks like Pixel 6, as long as you have the March update, you should be fine, is my understanding. So, okay. So we can turn those things back on then, Burke. Well, I will check and make sure that I have the March update before I do that.
I turned off 5G the second I got the phone anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, what's so funny is
5G.
remember when the Pixel 6 came out and we had the battery drain problems because of the 5G modem, and we turned so the whole time I had my Pixel 6, I had 5G turned off, and then when I got the Pixel 7, I instinctively went to turn 5G off just because I had it from the Pixel 6. But yeah, so
I keep mine on.
Yeah. Now I keep it on. So
it's fine though. It's fine. Okay. Well, good to know about all that stuff.
What a crazy day.
Yeah, so we start with the bad news. I should also mention Steve Gibson talks about this pretty deeply on today's Security Now. So check that out as well, twit.tv/SN.
He is the best in the biz.
Yeah,
so,
he kind of knows his
what
stuff.
He says.
He knows his stuff when it comes to the security stuff. All right, Wynn, you got the next one. Not a bummer, not bummer news.
Actually, it's good news down the pipe. Good news in general. So we all love us some mid-range phones here. And for our mid-range buddies, mid-range mates, mid-range cohort, I couldn't think of a great M word to go with this for alliteration, but to power our lovely mid-range friends, Qualcomm has recently announced their new second-gen mid-range chip, the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2, built on a 4-nanometer process. There's a lot of great stuff that is in this little chip. It, number one, supports up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is super notable. And I think is really interesting that we've talked about, in the past about the kind of recent crop of handheld cloud gaming devices like the G Cloud and the Razer Edge. And those were all using the previous generation of the Snapdragon. But they were limited because of that to 8 gigabytes. Now imagine, whatever the evolution of, these cloud gaming handhelds having this Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 and getting a whole 16 gigabytes of RAM, double the RAM for your money. And it reports to have a 50% jump in performance over last year's chip. It's Quick Charge 5 compatible. It can support 200 megapixel photo capture with a new built-in processor, including some affordable phones having, space zoom, it can support Dolby Vision, up to 120 hertz displays, up to 40% better AI processing. So nothing but, good things to mid-range phones. I guess it's not really a downside, but we won't be seeing some of these, mid-range buddies of ours getting this 7 Plus Gen 2 yet, but it will be coming to Redmi and Realme phones this month. So we will have to see if the new crop of mid-range phones that we can get our hands on are going to have this very nice Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2. But I think to go along with all the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, fun news and excitingness that we've had, now the mid-range folks get a little bit of something in there. I guess it's a little early for Christmas stockings, but under their, in their phones.
Mid-range devices, mid-range musketeers. There we go.
I like that.
There we go. That's the only M that I can come up with. This is the
title.
Mid-range musketeers. These are some pretty awesome features for a mid-range device, right?
Amazing.
Like suddenly 200 megapixel phone capture, 120 hertz display, quick charge 50% in 5 minutes. These are the things that often we hold on that pedestal for premium, the premium pedestal From
That's another one right there.
Premium pedestal.
Midrange Musketeers on the premium pedestal.
I like it.
How much can we alliterate in this episode? But anyway, so this just, it makes it more and more, the Midrange Musketeers more and more appealing, and you don't need the premium devices. God, once you start alliterating, it's kind of hard to stop.
It's addictive.
It's so much fun.
It just happens. Anyways.
All about Android.
There we go. Yes, it's there in the title.
It's right there.
It's right there. We've been doing it forever.
All about we're all about alliteration at All About Android.
Yes, indeed. When we're not trying. Once we start trying, then it gets a little weird. Mm-hmm. So there you go. We've got more hardware news coming up next, so we will get to that in a moment. But first, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by ACI Learning. You already know IT Pro, right? They bring you engaging and entertaining IT training. Well, now IT Pro is part of ACI Learning. You see their signage throughout our studio because they're here in full effect, and we're happy to have them. Together, IT Pro and ACI Learning are expanding their production capabilities. They're bringing you the content, the learning style that you need at any stage in your development. So whether you're looking for, individual training for yourself, or maybe you have a team, you want to get them all trained up, ACI Learning and IT Pro have you covered. You can join more than 227,000 members of the IT Pro Learning community. You get access to 6,800 hours of content, new content added every single day. You get team training for CompTIA, Microsoft IT training, Cisco training, Linux training, Apple training, security, cloud, and I know I've left out some there as well. So you check the site and you can see it all. One of the most widely recognized beginner certifications is the CompTIA A+. CompTIA courses from IT Pro and ACI Learning make it easy to level up your employees who have a vested interest in cybersecurity. The most popular certifications offered by ACI Learning include CISSP, AWS, ISACA, and CCNA, and other in-demand tech skills and certification courses as well. So technical support specialist, computer user support specialist, information security analyst, that's just scratching the surface. Certifications show more than proving a skill set, right? They let your customers see that you're committed to keeping your organization up to date. And ACI Learning and IT Pro are there with you every step of the way. With an IT Pro business plan, ACI Learning offers fully customizable training for your team, so you can, do all of these excellent things when you're getting your team trained up. You can track their results, so managing your seats. You can assign and unassign team members, access monthly usage reports, of course, see metrics that are really important, like logins, viewing time, tracks completed, and so much more. You can manage those teams very easily as well. So subsets of users, managing those, or teams, by providing them with customized assignments, monitoring progress, and then reporting on usage of the platform. And those assignments can be full courses. They can also be individual episodes within courses. And you get full access to advanced reporting, so immediate insight into your team's viewing patterns and their progress over a period of time. You get some nice fancy visual reports to go along with it. Respected companies and government agencies around the globe turn to IT Pro and ACI Learning year after year to help them maintain their competitive edge, supporting organizations across audit, IT, and cybersecurity readiness. ACI Learning keeps you and your team at the top of your game. So from entry-level training to putting people on the moon, it's a wide margin there. ACI Learning has got you covered. Maintain your company's competitive edge with ACI Learning and visit go.acilearning.com/twit. That's go.acilearning.com/twit. And for those of you looking to start today with a standard or premium individual IT Pro membership, you can use TWIT30 and you'll get 30% off. And we thank IT Pro and ACI Learning for their support of All About Android and the Twit Studio. All right, and with that, it's time for some hardware news. Let's do it. Yeah. Well, look what we have here. Oppo announced its latest flagship, the Oppo Find X6 and X6 Pro, or as my autocorrect wanted to name it, the Opportunity Find X6. Apparently it doesn't like when I type Oppo, and it turns it into Opportunity.
Is it Oppo or Oppo?
Do we know? Is it Oppo?
I've always said
Oppo.
Do we know?
Can we
say Oppo?
Can you ever really know?
Yeah,
Truly?
we need to ask Bard. See what Bard thinks.
Can you really know if it's Oppo?
Is it Oppo, Oppo, or is it short for opportunity? See, the computers just want to tell us what these words mean all over the place. Are we listening? No. The Oppo Find X6 Pro is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, UFS 4.0 storage. It's got a large 6.82-inch 1440p display, and apparently incredibly bright. 2,500 peak nits. That's incredibly bright. The S23, just as a comparison, tops out at 1,750 nits. This is 2,500. So, even brighter if you're outdoors, and that does matter. As you could see in that shot that you just showed there, Burke, a large camera circle cylinder thing on the back.
It's so large. It's
like a
comically
third of the
large.
Back. Yeah, with a large 1-inch camera sensor as the main. That's a 50 megapixel Sony IMX989, which happens to be the same sensor in Sony's DSC RX100, which is a handheld camera that retails for about $1,000. So they're putting some really great camera hardware in there. Of course, it has 2 other lenses, an ultra wide and a 3x optical zoom. Altogether, I think they give you like 6x kind of I don't know what they call it, like a unified optical zoom or something like that. But you get 120x digital zoom. So, Samsung would call that space zoom if this was on one of their devices. I don't know what Oppo or Oppo calls it. And an IR blaster, which tells you this phone is not sold in the U.S. No pricing yet. No details on a global release. But there we go. Oppo's flagship device with a very, very large camera sensor on the back. And I think this like circular camera bump, although it's not a bump, it's more like a mountain, getting more and more familiar. We're seeing more and more of these like ginormous round camera circles on the back.
I'm waiting for that 1-inch sensor, that 1-inch Sony sensor. I'm waiting for a phone I can get here.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to make me go to Asia on a vacation, fine. I'll go.
Fine, I'll go vacation.
Phone. I'll go vacation in Asia and get a phone. But I would love to see that.
Hasselblad.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, like where this might take, and this is kind of getting in a little bit more into maybe like Mr. Ant's territory of like where do point and shoot cameras live now, and with kind of like this kind of really upping the game of cameras. I just want one. I'm sorry, I just really want one. I'm excited. I'd be more excited if I actually get my hands on one, but yeah. I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's funny.
Yeah. I'm sure it takes fantastic pictures. I'll be curious to see what people who are able to get that device in their hands, what they're able to do with it. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I've ever really had an Oppo phone for review, and I don't think that I ever have. I'm sure Mateo has brought one in from time to time. Mateo Doni, who, by the way, has not been on in a while. He's going to be on the episode in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be gone, unfortunately, but he's going to be sitting here in the studio. He's going to be in the area on 4th of April, so you will see Mateo, the triumphant return
exciting.
of Mateo Doni while I'm gone.
I saw him ranting about something on Facebook, and I was like, where's Mateo been?
Yes.
We need to get him on the show.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I'm super bummed because I'm going to be out of town. This is, I leave tonight, actually, after the show. We head to the... to San Jose and then wake up early tomorrow morning and board the plane. So I won't be here for the next 2 weeks.
Not San Jose, California.
Well, no, we go down to San Jose, California,
okay.
and then we fly into San Jose, Costa Rica.
Gotcha.
But
that's not confusing.
Yeah. Well, I guess on one hand, it kind of keeps it easy. I just think of it 2 times.
I'm going to San Jose. You are in San Jose.
Yes.
Sir. No, the other San Jose.
Yeah, 2 San Joses in one day is going to be kind of interesting. Anyways, Mateo will be here in a couple of weeks. I just won't be sitting here with him, and I am bummed about that, but that just means we'll have to have him back again. when I'm back. So
I feel like there were a couple of years where he was on like 4 or 5 times a year.
Oh yeah. Very regular. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Oh, the Macadile days.
Our it was painted in Macadile those days. All right, while you were out last week, we had a full hardware block dedicated to Pixel news, 3/5 of which were rumors. So this is kind of like the extension of that. You're up next.
Oh, I like it. I like these leaky peekies, especially this first one. So if y'all were curious about what the Pixel 7a might look like, you can get a gander at it from a now archived, unsurprisingly, eBay listing for a Pixel 7a prototype. And it of course got up to a ridiculous amount of bids, I think upwards of $2,600. And of course, that listing no longer exists. But you could take a look at some of the pictures that were provided in that archived link to get a little idea of what the Pixel 7a might look like. Nothing too surprising. Looking through the photos, It looks very much like, the standard Pixel 7 with the familiar dual camera bar in a matte finish, just like the Pixel 7, and, a more flat screen front as opposed to like the curved one that the premium super flagships are still rocking even in this day and age. And there is a screenshot of the phone in fast boot mode, which shows that this device is rocking 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. So nothing too surprising. And obviously, we're going to probably get a better look at this thing sooner rather than later. But
unredact.
I know, right? Can I remove those scribbles? Was this done on the Android Markup, the Pixel Markup app?
Someone download it and do some byte magic or something, or
Yeah.
But
we'll run it through an AI and have the AI guess what's there. What would be here, AI?
What would be here? Tell me what the barcodes on the Pixel 7a prototype would be. Right. So there you go for the Pixel 7a. And we're not quite done yet because we got some leakies of the Pixel 8, which we're probably going to hear about at Google I/O, which is coming up sooner rather than later, coming up real fast. But, if you're not afraid of phone spoilers, which, who are these days? We don't really care about spoilers. We just tell us everything now, like, 3 or 4 months before we even acknowledge its existence for realsies. OnLeak renders show some, idea of what the Pixel 8 might look like. Again, this is like the standard Pixel 8, not the Pro. But, it doesn't, look too different from the Pixel 7. There are some notable things. The camera bar is shiny now as opposed to matte, which is what the standard Pixel 7 is. But these are renders. Who knows? So a significant thing is it is a slightly smaller screen at 6.2 versus 6.3 inches. There does seem to be a little bit of design updates with the corners being a little more rounded, but kind of a lot of the same. These again, flat screen on the entry level Pixel dual camera, hole punch front facing camera, and what seems to be a metal chassis. So there you go. If you were curious whether there's going to be something wild and new and crazy for the Pixel 8 this year, doesn't seem like it. Just, the usual iterative updates.
Yeah, but the approach of the roundedness, it's subtle, but it definitely does have a different kind of feel to it. It looks like the
more iPhone-y. Like it's like a lot, not as tight of a curve, it's like a longer,
more whimsical.
Yes,
I don't know.
It's a more playful curve. Yeah.
Can a curve be playful? Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
What words do we come up with to describe the curve on this phone? I have no idea.
I could definitely see a more iPhone-iness about it. I didn't think about that, and maybe also the fact that it is maybe opting for more. I don't know. I feel like it's between matte and shiny finishes. I know this is like very much your mileage might vary, but it seems to be still that shiny feels premium. So maybe feeling like, hey, it's like the entry mid-range, not even mid-range, it's the entry flagship phone, but it's still very premium. Look how shiny it is. Look how much it reminds you of other phones.
Yeah,
that cost much money.
I'm looking at the shiny camera bar on my Pixel 7 and trying trying to decide, like, do I like it more or less than the way it was last year? Like, I kind of, like you were saying that the shiny quality makes it seem more premium. And there's like, in some ways, I don't like it as much. Like,
I like it. It was funny because I saw Pixel 6 the other day and I was just like, ugh. Like I had a visceral kind of like, and I, prefer the 7 much more than the Pixel 6, cosmetic case approach. Yeah.
I mean, I fully realize, like, from a durability standpoint, it's probably better for this to be, a metal versus a glass.
I'm not liking the stitching
it.
on your
Star
case,
Trek-y.
Jason.
What?
I'm not liking the stitching on your case.
Oh, the
That's
side
very
thing?
judgmental of you.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's grippy.
It's
grippy.
Oh, it's not
Grippy.
stitching. Okay, then I like it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's meant to look like stitching.
From
but
the angle, it looked like it was stitching at first.
Yeah, no, it's
was
just
like,
a
why are
little
you
grippy
so
thing,
skeuomorphic?
so I don't lose it. Yeah, it's this is a Spigen case, I believe. Yeah.
Grippy.
I get similarly judgmental about like the finish on cars. Like I see a lot of, for example, Teslas that have the matte finish, and I don't know whether I like it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
totally.
is that
I'm same,
cool or is that
same.
not cool. Yeah.
Like, God, do I like the matte on a car? I don't know. It just kind of looks unfinished. It looks like they got halfway there, but they didn't quite go for it,
Yeah.
Did you run
I
out
don't think
of
it looks
buff? Did
good.
you run
Yeah.
out of buff pads or something?
You still need to
Like, what
polish.
happened?
You forgot the
Yeah.
polish step. Yeah.
Well,
That's what
it's
that
if
is.
it's it doesn't look. It looks weird on a Tesla. You're right. On something else, like it looks tactical.
Tactical. Oh, that's an interesting
okay.
descriptor. Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Okay. And then
Oh, and then
I don't want to steal your
okay.
thunder.
Yeah, my bad. I forgot. I was like really pontificating on whether I like matte or shiny finishes. So, I don't know if you all noticed, but I love hardware exclusive software features like the dynamic island or face unblur because software is software, and why not make it exclusive to a specific piece of hardware? I don't actually like that very much, but as noted by us, I think talking about like the Pixel marketing campaigns, including like the Super Bowl ad, and we had a really great email about just how much Pixel is kind of getting recognition even outside of the US. It kind of makes sense, right, that Google is trying to bring attention and give a little bit of special sauce to the Pixel range of phones, especially since it has, relative to other phones that they've manufactured, done better, like in terms of sales. So if you are curious whether something similar will be kind of hidden away as a special goodie for you Pixel 8 prospective buyers, it looks like you will get video unblur. So kind of as a counterpart to the face unblur, that is like very specific. And it was kind of like a big feature for the Pixel 7. It seems that Pixel 8 might get a video unblur. So not just static images, but being able to unblur an entire video, which honestly, I think would be a killer feature as someone with an adorable, almost 2-year-old niece that runs around a lot and, we're trying to capture it. It makes a lot of sense, right? Mm-hmm. And so this isn't official yet, but the good folks over at 9 to 5 Google did one of their APK insights, dug around a little bit and saw something that looks like it could be a hint of video unblur. So if you were kind of in a mood to look for a new premium flagship phone later this year, and you're going to be thinking about the Pixels versus the Samsungs, but you like some hardware exclusive software features, Pixel 8 might have, something up their sleeve for you. So we'll have to wait and see what it is or what it actually looks like. So there you go.
And then eventually it will be made available for all, because that seems to be what Google does somewhere down the line. It's like, oh, actually, now it's coming to all Pixel devices.
Everybody gets it.
Didn't need a tensor chip to begin with, or we figured out a way around the tensor chip thingy. Now you can all have it. Seemed to be standard playbook.
All right,
Ron, I knew you would like this one.
I know. And so in terms of my legacy and things that will never leave me behind, but Burke, don't prep that. Ah, God.
He got there.
Burke, I do need you to prep the other audio cue for when we say goodbye to somebody.
Okay.
Because Google Glass Enterprise Edition 2 is pretty much good as dead.
Oh.
Sadly.
Oh.
Google says, there it is. So pour a little out for Google Glass. Google says it's no longer selling Google Glass Enterprise Edition 2. Support will end on September 15th. The device should still work beyond that date, but software updates will end. In case you weren't aware, Google Glass Enterprise Edition 2 was announced in 2019, sold for $999. If you go to google.com/glass, it just says, thank you for over a decade of innovation and partnership. Oh. Holy cow, one last time.
Holy cow.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean,
yep.
Does this mean I can no longer wear my Google Glass?
You can.
I can. I can just wear it as a prop. This is why I still keep this in the office. It comes up from time to time. It's a nice prop.
Wait, no, you keep it in the office because it's super useful and not
I'm using
creepy.
This all the time. This is the Enterprise. Here is the Enterprise for me, and I'm using it in the Enterprise. Yeah. I thought that it had some juice because I like to keep it charged for those last minute. Oh no, I need a Google Glass really quickly, but apparently it's not charged. Well. Okay. Goodbye. See you later.
Goodbye.
Okay. Although we're probably going to have another time where we say goodbye to it again because support ends on September 15th. So expect us to talk
this
about
is a preliminary.
Again.
Yeah, this was planned. Like listen, it's coming. The wake is going to happen in September.
Prepare
now,
yourself. Emotionally prepare yourself for Google Glass going away.
I do feel bad for the enterprise IT guy who was prepping the purchase order to buy a bunch and then went to the website and was like, what?
Finally won the C-suite over.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
Finally sold it through. 5. Yeah, exactly.
You get 5 for your fleet. Okay, I'm going to... They stopped support. Dang it.
Well, so sad.
Don't worry. You'll be able to pick them up on eBay.
We keep having bad news this episode. Jeez. Well, let's take a break and let's thank our next sponsor as the evening progresses, as the show progresses here, because this episode of All About Android is brought to you by the fine people at HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW. The people at CDW understand that your organization needs simple management over its big data. But with workloads remaining on-prem due to legacy systems, it can feel challenging to organize and optimize your data. And that's where CDW can help your organization by consolidating and managing all your data in one flexible, unified experience with the HPE GreenLake Edge-to-Cloud platform. The experience you'll get with HPE GreenLake is unique because no matter where your data or applications live, you can free up energy and resources with automated processes and streamlined management, and we can all use more streamlined things, right? Lord knows I can. You can too. We all can. Not only that, HPE GreenLake creates a seamless cloud experience among multiple data environments thanks to the as-a-service model that meets your remote workforce at the edge, and that is key. And with unrivaled scalability, you'll see an instant increase in capacity, allowing for greater flexibility and accelerated business growth so your team can tackle bigger priorities like innovation, like they should be. Go innovate. Don't worry about the other stuff. When it comes to streamlined management, HPE makes data transformation possible. CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. And we thank CDW for their support. And we thank HPE GreenLake, the experts at CDW. They're all fantastic. Go check it out. Go to cdw.com/HPE. Thanks for their support. Big data. Ooh. And with that, let's mosey on to the apps aisle.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Peruse the apps aisle. See if there's anything in store for us this week.
What's on the specials?
Yeah. Blue light special, aisle 9. AI coming to Google Workspace. AI is finding its way into everything. We talked about Bard a little bit earlier. ChatGPT just seems like a thread that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So how is it working its way into the products that we use, the apps that we use in useful ways? And Google announced that Workspace is getting a bunch of AI features, specifically a slew of generative AI features for many of the core products. So things like drafting, replying, summarizing, and prioritizing your Gmail, which they kind of already do some of those things from like a basic perspective, but some of the stuff is really interesting. Like replying, I think I saw an example where you're sending an email to someone because you want them to cover something because someone else is out. And so instead of writing the email to the person, hey, could I get you to pick this thing up, blah, blah, blah. It's like you ask the AI and you say, I need you to write an email to this person to let them know that that someone else can't, cover this, and can you do it? And what the AI is able to do, from my understanding anyways, from this little demo that it showed, is it has the information from the other emails that you have to understand who the person was that was scheduled to be there, why they can't do it. And, it basically pulls in all this information in the response and gives this purely contextual reply or email to this person instead of, it's just so interesting how this is all planning out. Also a little bit like, really? Whoa, slow down. You don't need to go into all my other email to figure this out. But it really just depends, I think, on your comfort level. Like, are you comfortable giving over, handing the keys to this system to have this knowledge in exchange? It's really useful because it writes, it's able to do this work for you. So I think that's the question that people have to answer for themselves.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brainstorming, proofreading, writing, rewriting in docs, bringing, they say, your creative vision to life with auto-generated images, video, audio, and slides. Like you can point a PDF or, a bunch of work that you're doing and say, I want you to create a slide deck around this. And it's not that it just like pulls out things wholesale and just goes, all right, here's page 3, but in a slide. Like it draws these correlations, and it is really weird how it works. Like the way that we create these docs, if this is where we're starting right now, in 5 years, a lot of the drudge work that people have been doing in the office is going to be a lot easier, I'm imagining, based on what Google was showing off here. They say go from raw data to insights and analysis via auto-completion, formula generation, contextual categorization in Sheets. So you might tell Sheets, you might not know how to create a formula, but you might know how to explain what you need. And you explain what you need, and it creates the formula. Like, that's super powerful. How many times am I in Sheets, and I'm like, I just wanted to do this thing, but I have no idea where to begin. So I start doing my searches, my Google searches, and, find some Stack Overflow forum, thing, and try
to do the formula. Oh, man. I've been there.
Instead just be like, I just want this number to appear there based on some of this other information, and it creates the formula for you. Awesome. Generating new backgrounds and capture notes in Meet, enabling workflows for getting things done in chat, whatever that means. So AI coming into the Google Workspace environment to make things a little easier, says Google. I'd be curious to play around with it. I'm sure we're going to get access to it in the tools that we're already using relatively soon. But pretty neat stuff. Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see.
Don't forget the I'm feeling lucky button.
What does that? What does that do? Do we even still have that? Is that on? Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, it's in there. I don't. I mean, that's a good question. What does it do?
But you would just
there.
open up.
It's there, like in the bottom.
Lucky. So let's see.
I'm just going to give you an option here in a second to what.
Okay, so this has to do with Docs and Gmail, writing things. You've jotted down a few bullets on your phone from a recent meeting, and you want to transform them into a more polished summary to share with your team. For these scenarios and many more, we're adding new generative AI capabilities to help you rewrite. And if you're in the mood to let AI try out a new playful voice altogether, you'll be able to hit the I'm feeling lucky button in Gmail. So it's like, okay, let's see what you come up with. Boom.
You have cancer.
No, okay. Delete.
No.
Horrible.
Not true.
Bad move, Google.
Back
Not true. Not true.
Yeah, not true. Call back to pre-show where,
yes.
Anyways, interesting stuff. Would love to. I mean, this stuff is incredibly useful as long as it works. But I think we're kind of heading into the territory of it not being perfect. As we talked about in pre-show, none of this stuff is perfect, but it's a lot more useful now than it used to be. It's a lot better at doing this stuff now than it ever used to be. And that's what I think people are getting really excited about. It's within the realm, again, not perfect, but it's within the realm of usability to where it's like, okay, actually, I could use 80% of what this just gave me, and that would be incredibly helpful.
Which is like the starting. Sorry, after you win. Yeah.
No, go ahead. You were.
I was gonna say this is just the start. Yeah. This is just the starting point of like of the wave. So win after you.
Oh yeah, and I think like I know like part of it is like, oh yeah, so now my whole job can be done by ChatGPT, and I think like a lot of other, without getting into the very tricky subject of automation kind of in a broad sense, that, when you're at a new company and maybe you're just out of college and you don't know how to write like businessy things, or you don't have, like a lot of times even as an engineer, I get asked to write reports or like estimates or like summarize things or to kind of like, learn how to communicate with other teams. And, especially in like, in some companies, they don't teach you how to do that. And you're kind of just like trying to figure out how to do it on your own. Imagine having a really good starting point to be like, okay, here's how, like, generally, here's a good way of starting to communicate these kind of things. And here are like kind of patterns in how like people like to like, generate these kind of reports or generate these kind of presentations. And it's not like it's doing everything for you, but it's kind of giving you a starting off point. So it kind of does like the drudge work. And then there's still an element of creativity. There's still an element of context that you need to bring to every single thing. It reminds me a lot of like the updates and even in like programming development that I've experienced. It's like nothing's ever well, that's not true. It hasn't replaced me yet. It's just made me able to do the core of my job faster and better. And so I love it, especially as someone who's worked a lot of big corporate jobs. I would have loved as a new graduate to have someone help me write things, because I don't know, am I going to get fired because I didn't, use the right template on this letter or this email? I don't know. So I don't know. I just have a lot of like sympathy for just the day-to-day quality of life improvements that this kind of stuff brings. Anyway, very, very sympathetic to it.
Totally agree.
So speaking of quality of life, and kind of making things better for people, occasionally I see things, and now after doing the show for a bit, sometimes I see like an Android related story, an Android related thing, and I don't see the thing anymore. I see one of my lovely co-host faces. So as an example, I saw an ad for a Z Fold Flip Pokemon case. And and instead of kind of my brain processing it as like, this is a Z Fold Flip with Pokemon on it, I just thought Florence Ion. And so when I saw this next story, my brain flashed, Ron. This is Ron, like Ron. And because the story is that PocketCasts is actively developing a Wear OS app. And so instantly I was just like, Ron. That's like all I could think of was like, oh my God, I bet Ron's going to have opinions about this. So PocketCasts open sourced their mobile clients last year. And so if you go to the GitHub and you poke around, you can see that they have in active development a issue, which is basically just a project or kind of feature, piece of work that has, kind of been submitted for development. And it is titled Initial Release of Wear OS Watch App. So they are actively working on it. And the focus will be basically to create a Wear OS app that has feature parity with iOS. And that is going to focus on the ability to work for this Wear OS app to work independently of the phone. So including a now playing screen, browsing and downloads. So yeah, if you're a person that likes your PocketCasts to listen to podcasts, and you want to just take your phone, whether it's on a run or, just out, and you don't want to be, like tied to your phone to listen to your podcast and using PocketCasts, in sometime in the near future, you're going to have that because they're working on it. So yay.
Nice.
Too little.
I was going to say, months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the whole thing. I saw this come through and I was like, well, cool. Where were you when the watch came out? Where was this announcement when the watch came out? Why talk about the fact that it's actively being developed as I don't know. I just don't get me started. It's fine. But
That's
I'm glad,
really fair.
I'm glad they're doing it and they'll get there. It is a key. It was so painful to listen to a podcast on the via that watch. So hopefully they can crack that nut somehow.
When you had the watch for the short amount of time that you did, if this team had announced, all right, we're developing it, it's coming sometime in the coming months, would you have held on to the watch?
I would have thought about it more. I would have considered it more.
More heavily considered it.
Yeah, I would have heavily considered it. Yeah. So maybe I'll revisit. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what comes out. So
yeah. Yep. It's desperately needed though. So that's good news. Now, what about this, Ron? I saw you had some feelings about this in the Slack last week.
Yes, and I didn't have that many. I just shared it. I didn't have that many feelings.
No, I
but
knew what you meant by sharing it, though. No, you're right. You just shared it, but I just assumed you shared it because you felt something about it.
Well, yeah. So I got an email. I don't know if you all got an email. If you are a paying customer of YouTube TV, you probably got the email saying that YouTube TV is in fact getting more expensive. They did. I will give them credit. I want to pull up the email itself because I did feel like it was dripping in a little like get off our back. They said, hi, Ron. We have an important update for our members. After nearly 3 years, we're adjusting our monthly price from $64.99 a month to $72.99 a month. As content costs have risen and we continue to invest in the quality of our service, we're updating our price to keep bringing you the best possible service. So they're making a point of saying after nearly 3 years, we're raising our prices, So the base membership plan will change in your first billing cycle on or after April 18th. And then you'll be charged that going further. They said if you're currently on a base plan promotional price or a trial, that promotion still will be honored and unchanged. But they also included that they are lowering the price of the 4K Plus add-on. Previously, if you wanted 4K, it was an additional $19.99 a month. So if you had YouTube TV, I'm getting my calculator out. If you had YouTube TV and 4K Plus, you were paying $19.99. They are lowering the 4K Plus add-on to $9.99 a month. So previously, it was $65 plus $20, which gave you were paying $85 for YouTube TV plus 4K. Now you're going to be paying $17.99 plus $9.99, $83. So you actually are saving $2 if you have 4K with this new price plan change, which is wacky. And finally, they ended saying, "We hope YouTube TV continues to be your service of choice, but we understand some members may want to cancel."
This might just be too much for you. We get it.
So that said, I'm keeping it because I've currently now got like my dad and my sister all using the family kind of thing. Like they've all cut the cord and they're all using it, and I'm bearing the brunt of paying the cost, which is fine. It's still cheaper than all the stupid add-ons with cable and all that sort of stuff. So whatever. I mean, like I get it. Everything's going up in price. It sucks, but it's here where we are. So.
Yeah, it's just interesting in 3 years how it went from the cheap alternative to cable to cable.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. But they did launch multi-viewing options, which, as I also said in our chat, is going to give me a headache. That's the ability to watch multiple channels at once.
That's right.
And it launched on the day that March Madness started because lots of people want to have all the different basketball games on at the same time, and that just gives me anxiety.
They want to recreate their own sports bar.
Yeah, exactly. But it's cool. I still think it's a great product. I think, it records stuff. It proactively records stuff that I'm interested in. Like I feel like that is money well spent. And if you do have 4K, you're actually saving $2 now versus spending more. So it all kind of washes out. So.
Okay. I mean, 4K is the future, or is it the present? It's probably more the present than the future.
At some point.
So.
It was really funny because I saw this email come in and I knew what it was about. I look at my email box later and I can see, hey, your husband has canceled. Like he didn't even talk to me about it. I just saw an email like your YouTube plan has been canceled. To be fair, we talked about this previously that he was kind of on the fence anyway about it because I think outside of American football season we're like on it because we don't really watch a lot of network television anyway. But I just thought it was funny, like no discussion, just YouTube pricing update. Your plan has been canceled. Oh, okay, sure, cool, all right,
makes sense to me.
Yep.
If you'd already kind of talked about it anyways, it's kind of like, okay, well, now's obviously the time.
All right. Yep.
And finally, you can go ahead and fire off the taps one more time. This show has been so sad.
Such a bummer. Seriously.
Your really smart fabric will soon be discontinued. Project Jacquard. Remember that. That's right. First announced at Google I/O in 2015 by Google's ATAP division. I remember that year very, very fondly. That was a very exciting ATAP thing where they showed off so much. They solely for the first time, Jacquard. It was a lot of energy. It was really exciting. Anyways, Project Jacquard was announced in 2015. It's going to soon be shut down. Now, this is according to code found in the Jacquard app. And the code is designed to check Google servers to see if it's still supported. And if not, it would communicate that with the user. So it would say the Jacquard app is unable to start because your internet connection may be down, or the Jacquard app is no longer available / supported. There were also a number of references to EOL, end of life. So granted, this is not Google saying, and we are shutting down Project Jacquard. This is just the app has been built with a bunch of different references to end of life and a warning signals to users if, in fact, the app was ended. 9to5 Google has posited as a result of that Jacquard's life is probably, coming to a close at some point in the near future.
What's interesting is that if you track this, right, like it just never got any momentum, right? So like it came out in 2019, right? That's when they announced it and shared it and all that sort of stuff. Then in October 21, they released the SDK for developers to develop apps and stuff like that. And have you heard anybody doing anything with it since then?
No. Yeah. Now, mind you, it came out in 2019. 2020, the world got weird.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everything pre-COVID, that whole 2 years of strangeness, that admittedly we are still in.
Wait,
but
first,
what's that?
What did it do to begin with?
What did Jacquard do?
What did this smart jacket do?
Well, it was fabric that was essentially conductive to the point to where I could go like this on my sleeve and skip tracks on my CD, or I could go like this and I would hear the time and the earbuds that I'm wearing, or something along those lines.
Can you do it again, Jason?
Yeah.
And you could do it look very silly while you're doing it.
Oh, that didn't work.
So it was a button.
Oh, dang it, it's not working.
It had the switches.
And then you'd be out in the middle of the street going, right. Because it's not working. So, I don't know how useful that was. It's Google flexing its what if muscle.
That was actually my first IO, was that 2015. And so I've always held a special place in Project.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. Because it's like, and I think even then I thought, okay, this might not be, a fully fledged ubiquitous commercial success, but I think especially with things like ATAP was the idea that, hey, we're Google, we're innovating, we might just try a bunch of stuff and see what happens out of it. And I think I always held that in my mind. I was like, okay, they're trying things, they're innovating, and the world kind of got into a state where smart Yves Saint Laurent backpacks not really a number one concern on most people's minds in the last 2-3 years. So, but I always held a place in it for my heart because I thought that was really cool.
I do remember one of the things that we posited was, wow, this would be really cool if this technology was integrated into like the armrest on a couch or something like that.
Yes.
Right.
So that would be really interesting, actually. But what's interesting is that I'm just trying to find any news of any stuff related to Jacquard. Yeah. And 9to5 Google also has an article. Here, I'll share this. Here we go. In 2022, how Google Health wants to record heart sounds with phone mics and use Jacquard tag in post-surgery recovery. Right? And basically using the Jacquard little widget. Yeah, that was very dramatic.
Oh my God. Ron exploded.
But interesting how they were tying Jacquard into health applications. Like by putting the sensor, the fabric in post-surgery bandages or like that sort of stuff to help with it, right? But this is the only thing since 2020 that I've seen. Like in 2020 there was a Jacquard and Samsonite like luggage integration that they announced in 2020, I think right before the pandemic, but like there's nothing else about Jacquard anywhere.
Recall also, and thank you to Victor for sharing, for reminding me that on October 3rd, 2017, episode 337 of All About Android, we had Captain Andrew, Michael Fisher on.
Michael Fisher.
Yeah. Because he was wearing the Jacquard jacket. The title was Captain Jacquard for that episode. Yep. But he was wearing a Jacquard.
Yeah, he had
jacket.
He had the Levi jacket. Yeah.
Yep. So, anyways. Yeah, I mean, it really didn't go anywhere. It's a pretty specialized thing, you know. Right. Even integrating that into like a couch cushion, like even if you did that, like that area is going to get dirty. It's going to get dirty over time. So it's kind of flawed.
All
in
the
its own
innovation
way.
though is like literally in the software that like it's a button, but it make it do stuff. It's like not really about the hardware.
So the Jacquard website does have a list of products, right? So there's a Samsonite Connect Eye backpack. There's the Adidas GMR Play Connected. There's a Levi's trucker jacket. There's a backpack from Saint Laurent and the Levi's commuter trucker jacket. Like that's
right.
It.
That's about it, right? I mean, I wonder how many thousand of these really sold.
Was this the same time where was it Nike or Adidas or was it like Jacquard that was doing like the step counters in your sneakers or something?
That's the Adidas thing. That's the step counter.
That's Adidas.
Yeah. This is the Adidas thing.
Oh my bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's if you go to the Adidas product on that thing, it shows you that there's an insole and there's a little spot where the Jacquard tag goes into your feet. But it's meant to merge the real world with EA with FIFA, the game.
Oh my goodness! Sorry,
because that's what we all want.
That's strange.
Well, someone out there wants it, I guess. Yeah. But I'm imagining not many people actually wanted to spend the premium on a connected fabric.
And how much was this jacket?
It's neat. It's cool. It's almost like a proof of concept, and the fact that they were able to get companies like Adidas and Levi's on to create a product around it, that's neat, but that doesn't necessarily prove any sort of viability. That was kind of, that was an experiment for Google. It was also an experiment for Levi's. It was also an experiment for Adidas. It was by no means a mainstream product at any point of its existence. So
no,
yeah. But who knows? Maybe in 20 years, this will be all the rage, and we'll look back and we'll go, "Oh yeah, remember Jacquard? It kind of started that before people understood it."
Right.
We were all talking about how it had no, business being anything because, what was the purpose? And look at it now. I don't know.
Wacky. In 10 years, when we're controlling everything with our clothes, like Star Trek.
Yes, exactly. You don't double click. You just tap your shoulder, or
tap your lapel.
Like every inch of our clothing has a different control. Oh God, yes, navigate me. Okay, let's segue into the next part of our show coming up. It's your feedback. That's up next. All right, AAA at twit.tv, 347-SHOW AAA. If you want to send us your feedback, you can do so by going to those places or sending messages to those places, rather. And Wynn, you have the first one.
Yes, and our first email is from Tim Benson down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Tim writes us saying, I laughed at the discussion about the Pixel A series and lack of wireless charging. My wife and I have Pixel 6 Pros, and after the March 2022, yes, last year, security update, both phones lost wireless charging.
Oh dear.
I've reached out to Google and Google Fi support. All they want to do is troubleshoot the charger and only want to talk about the Pixel stand. We still don't have it back. And it used to work on 4 stands, 3 pieces of furniture, and 2 vehicles prior to that. Oh my goodness. That is a loss. This has made my wife mad enough that she's ready to jump to Samsung. Love the show since Gina days. Tim Benson from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
I understand. That would be frustrating.
That is a huge loss. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what else to say about that. That really sucks because, it's obvious that you had many different places that you were wireless charging this device. The update happens. You can no longer wireless charge in any of those places, and yet Google Support still wants to troubleshoot the charger or chargers rather than the single point of failure, which is the device that no longer charges in all those different places. That's really frustrating. And yet, I'm really not that surprised.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly, I'm not surprised. Yeah, that's a total bummer. Sorry to hear that, Tim, but thank you for writing in. Maybe your one, upshot is that we read your feedback on All About Android. At least there's that.
You got that going for you.
You got that going for you. And if you do jump to Samsung, do a follow-up and let us know how that goes.
Yeah.
At Panzer_Z wrote in to say there is an actual security advantage to not auto-accepting a correct PIN code for your lock screen. This calls back to a discussion that we had last week that involved upcoming changes that would possibly make it so that on Android by default, or at least on Android phones with the next version of Android, when you enter in a PIN, on iOS, when you do that and you do the 4 characters, it sends it automatically and it pops you through. On Android, you always kind of have to hit the go button at the end of it, and a new change might make it work more like iPhones. Continues to say, it forces someone who is trying to brute force break in to actually know the string length of the code, i.e. entering a 4-digit PIN, but it being rejected and not knowing if it is because it's the wrong PIN or if it's actually a 6-digit PIN. That's a really good point. Not a huge security feature, but anything that makes it more of a hassle to guess a password is the only weapon we have in digital security. But the real takeaway is that it should be an option to do either method so the user has the choice of more convenience or slightly more security. I would guess that it would be a choice, but maybe I'm making an assumption there, or I'm definitely making an assumption there. But I think in my head, that's kind of what I figured with something like this, is because it's been this one way forever, and now suddenly it would be a change. I personally would be really surprised if Google said, okay, yeah, I know it's been that way forever, but now it's going to be this. But I guess they've done that in other ways, so why wouldn't they? Having said that, when it comes to security, I think you make an excellent point. If it automatically ends at the end of the number of digits that the PIN is and automatically enters it, then someone trying to break into your phone automatically knows how long your PIN is. If it doesn't do that, then you could have a 10-digit PIN, you could have a 5-digit PIN. They don't actually know. And that's going to make it way more difficult for them to ever brute force their way in. So it's a really good point.
I did this to myself on my Samsung S8. I have a specific way of calculating a PIN that involves personal information. And actually on my S8, it didn't tell me whether the PIN was 4 numbers or 6 numbers. So my little mental algorithm got really messed up, and I got totally locked out of my S8 because I couldn't brute force my own PIN. So confirm, this is very effective.
Oh no! So you got locked out. Did you ever recover? Were you ever able to? I
just rebooted the whole dang thing because mostly I've been using it for testing, so it was okay. Over. But I did actually. It is really funny because that is extremely valuable, of course, from the mathematical. If you want to do the numbers on there's probably some incredibly easily calculable magnitude of difficulty increased by adding this kind of factor of variance in it. So yes, great point, and can confirm. Makes it real hard to guess my own password or my own PIN. So
I've been there though. I've so been there because I test a lot of phones, and some phones when I'm done testing them and I still have them, I don't wipe them. They just kind of end up in a drawer, and then maybe my kids will find it, and they're like, oh, well, my younger daughter really thinks that she's good at cracking codes, so she'll get on there, and then I'll pull out the phone later, and it's like, had X number of incorrect tries, and I've got to wait, I get it wrong the first time. And it's like, you have entered the incorrect PIN 27 times. Like, no, I didn't. I know that it was probably her trying to figure it out. But when you get to that point with some of these devices, then the retry time is really long until you can retry again. Or at some point,
minutes or something.
Yeah, at some point it's like, nope, you're locked out. You can only get in if you know the exact password.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not going to work. So
It was like that.
exactly. Thanks for writing in at Panzer_Z. And Ron, you have the honors.
Yes. Well, this week's email of the week is actually more of a social post of the week.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That works too. Yeah, sure.
Because our good pal over on Mastodon at ROBOLY88 at twit.social said, just found my favorite product at $25. 3-device mouse keyboard combo that also works great on Android and Chromebooks. So thank you, ROBOLY88 for posting the multi-device keyboard and mouse, which looks a lot like the Logitech device at first glance.
Yeah.
Suspiciously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oddly like
Pretty
that.
branded even,
are.
possibly.
Yeah. That's a good question. I wonder if Logitech and Anana are in business, but $25 is not that bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did a search on the Walmart site, and they have it listed for $35. So maybe you got a deal.
That looks a lot like the. By the way,
I
you
think
can
I
get this
have
for
one in our engineering room. Yeah.
Oh, really?
The Logitech one.
By the way, I found this exact device on eBay for $8.99.
Is it new or used?
New. It says.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Deal. What's shipping?
Shipping is $79. No, it doesn't say. What's really funny though is here. I'll share this with Burke so you can see it. The person posted photos, and I feel like you get more photos on this eBay listing than you do in the Walmart listing. But the box itself for the keyboard and mouse. It's the second photo in the gallery there, Burke.
Oh, that's
in the upper
excellent.
right-hand corner, it says "surf on Surf on,"
Surf on.
which is just like, when was the last time you saw surfing as a metaphor for the internet? It's 2023, and is really leaning into surfing the internet. But this looks just like the Netflix device.
The Netflix, you mean Logitech or
Netflix? Yeah, I'm sorry, not Netflix. Logitech keyboard.
Logitech. Yeah, and that little colored, that like minty colored slot is where you like place your tablet in. By the way, for people who are like, what is that? You put your tablet in there, so it kind of props it up like a laptop screen. And yeah, I mean, not bad for an inexpensive device. I wonder the longevity. How do those keys feel? But I mean. Sack this away. It looks like on
even
the
at
eBay
$25, even at $35, I think it's probably good.
Probably. I
So
mean,
I
so
found-
the eBay
I found
listing
a
$9 plus $15 economy shipping. So there you go.
I found the Logitech device that it's ripping off. It's the Logitech K480 wireless multi-device keyboard, and it's almost the exact same thing.
Oh my goodness!
My goodness! Wow! Okay.
Wow, that really is.
Although the one looks longer, like it looks like it has the keypad to the
10
right of the keyboard
yeah.
that the Logitech one doesn't.
Okay,
so they literally
innovating.
They literally just ripped off the design completely.
No kidding.
They even took the dial that was on the side of the Logitech one. It's like, hey, we'll stick that on the mouse.
Yeah.
Put it on the mouse. Just put it on the mouse, and it's different, right?
That's
It's the
so
same thing.
weird.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And so the Logitech one, by the way, on the Logitech site, $50, free shipping.
But it's $35 on Amazon.
I was just going to say, it looks like it's on sale right now. So,
woo.
yeah, but
So-
you are losing the numpad. You're not going to have the numpad
Yeah,
if you
you
get
get
And
the
the
Logitech.
mouse.
Logitech
And the mouse.
So, there you go.
Everybody needs a mouse. And
Yeah. I'm pro mouse.
I mean, if you got your tablet docked on a keyboard, you probably do want a mouse so you can get to places on the screen without having to go all a gorilla arm, as they used to call it. Interesting. Okay, so there you go. The best device according to Robily88 on twit.social.
That's a good one.
Email of the week. Thank you.
Good job, Robily88.
Good job.
Way to go.
And you didn't even know you were in the running for the email of the week because you posted it on the Twit social. And well, there you go. It just goes to show we're always looking, and sometimes we pull them from different places other than email.
You can't hide.
You can't. Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide. I don't think you were hiding. I think you were actually sharing it, and thank you for sharing it, because now maybe someone else out there will find this, and it's exactly what they're looking for. Yay! Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening to this here episode of All About Android. And thank you, Win, for being here this evening. It's good to have you back. What do you want to leave people with?
Be back. Hi, I'm an Android dev. You can find my Android things at my website, randomlytyping.com. And you can find me on the interwebs at Queen Code Monkey in places. You just type it. It's probably me. But yeah, glad to be back. And that's it.
And that's it. Thank you, Win. And thank you, Ron. What do you want to leave people with?
Thank you. Well, if you listen to the pre-show chat, you heard me talking a little bit about the other podcast I do over at ifanboy.com, along with my buddies Josh and Connor. Tune in this month's podcast, the Media Explode, where we're talking about what we're watching and things like that. We do a deep dive on The Last of Us, which I did not watch, but also Andor, which I did watch. And I talk about, I saw Creed 3 in the theaters, been watching Party Down, and finished watching Gaslit and The Boys season 3. So if you want to hear what I thought of all those TV shows, go listen to that. It's a fun time.
It's like
Boys season 3 was fantastic. It was really good.
Underrated.
It was really good. Really good.
I've not watched
season 2 was rough,
any.
but season 3 was really good.
Just all of it's awesome.
Yep.
I'll have to check that out. I've not even seen an
It's
episode.
Boys with a Z at the end.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Isn't
it's
it?
not. No,
Is it?
it's
Okay. Well,
BLYF.
it's on Amazon Video.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I will check it out. Cool. Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Win. Thank you, Burke. Thank you, Victor, behind the glass, for everything y'all do to do the show each and every week. Let's see here. Normally, I would say, well, I can still say it. You can find me on Twitter at Jason Howell. You can find me on Mastodon, twit.social/@JasonHowell. Normally, I would say that I'm also doing a show with Micah this Thursday, but I'm not because I'm going to be on vacation. So, but you should still watch twit.tv/TNW. I'm sure Micah is going to line up some excellent guests for that show. I'm going to be out the next... is it the next 2 episodes? So next Tuesday and the following Tuesday, I'll be back the third Tuesday. So you won't see me, but you'll see, I think Flo is on next week. And then, like I said earlier, Mateo Doni on the following week. So we've got fun lined up while I'm out, and then I will come back and I'll be totally clueless as far as what's going on in the world of technology when I return. It was because Leo goes away on vacation as well while I'm gone. It was going to end up being that I get back on Saturday, and then that Sunday I host Twit. But I was like, I don't think this is going to work, y'all. I'm going to be super clueless. Like, it would stink to go into Twit and know absolutely nothing. So
You will be tan though.
Yeah, I'll have that going for me. Every time something comes up in a story and I know nothing about it, I'll just point to my tan.
That'll be hypnotized by your tan.
Yes.
Deep tan.
I am enjoying this season of All About Android, because I feel like this is the season where Jason went on vacation a lot.
Yes, important.
It is
Right?
weird. It has worked out that way. Yes, it has. It's all been very concentrated.
The pandemic's over when Jason and the Howells go on the road a lot. So
it worked out that way, that the first 3 months of this year was just lots of vacation. It wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened.
Good for you, man. Good for you. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
So
We're glad.
happy.
Thanks
happy for you.
Thanks for reading all the ads and doing all the work.
I'm just saying, when we see what the ads look like next week and the week after, which is good.
Yeah.
I like the ad.
Yes,
I
we
love our
love 'em.
advertisers.
Keep 'em coming.
We love them. We appreciate their support, and please use all their products. I will happily read ad reads if you're listening. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for covering for me while I'm out. And
Have a great trip.
we've got the ads. Yes. we've also got Club Twit, and that's how you can get our shows without any ads. So twit.tv/clubtwit. No ads in any of the shows if you're a member. Also, you get the Twit Plus podcast feed. Lots of shows that you don't get outside of the club. Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows. Home Theater Geeks just fired up again with Scott Wilkinson. Lots of really great stuff. Interviews. Aunt Pruitt does some interviews. I think our own Victor is going to be interviewed here pretty soon. Do we know when that is? In the future. I can't remember what episode that is or what date that is, but it's coming up. So if you're if you're a member of Club Twit, you'll get a little interview with Ant and Victor.
I feel like it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like it's a couple of weeks
Victor, are we
out.
right?
Yeah, we'll find out. But anyways, and then of course the Discord that we refer to a lot. Actually, Discord right now, it looks like who was doing this? I think P. Holder in the Discord was using the Midjourney bot to come up with a picture of the week image.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So
That's pretty
interesting.
cool.
Might have to pull that down and repurpose that. That looks awesome. I love it. This stuff's so cool. Technology's
cool.
neat. So there you go. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Check it out for yourself. $7 a month. Thank you. As for this show, twit.tv/AAA, go there, subscribe. You'll get the episodes. You won't have to seek them out like you may be doing. You probably subscribe already, but if you don't, you should. And twit.tv/AAA is where you go to do that. And thanks for watching each and every week. We couldn't do this show without you, and we will see you next time. They will see you next week. I will see you in a couple of weeks on All About Android. Bye, everybody.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.